Good afternoon and welcome to Willows Green Permaculture. My name is Stephen Dixon and I want to talk to you today about why I love that my channel is dubbed currently into 21 languages. Here's some of what you're going to see. Riveted to the screen, reading those subtitles which I could barely read. You know, some people have said, "Oh, turn it off. This is terrible." 7 or 8 years old, and my dad was showing us a Kurosawa movie. I'd like to see 200 languages. Small screen TV, you know, the type where you change the channels. I could turn it all off. Or for one person, you who's watching. I've never liked dubbing. But they're about an attitude towards nature is so unrealistically plausible that they would think I was a bot. So if this is something you're interested in, then let's get started. It's funny because personally, I've never liked dubbing. As someone who loves movies, and I'm talking about since I was a little kid, I preferred if I was watching a movie that wasn't in English or wasn't in French, which were the languages I grew up with, I preferred to watch that movie in whatever language it was. I remember one time I was about 7 or 8 years old and my dad was showing us a Kurosawa movie, a Japanese movie. Throne of Blood it was called, Kumo no Sujo. Kurosawa's take on Shakespeare's Macbeth. It was playing on Saturday night at the movies with Elwie Yost on TV Ontario, a public broadcaster. I was riveted. Small screen TV, you know, the type where you change the channels, black and white, real small. I was sitting on the floor because there's no room on the couch because my other 8 brothers and sisters were already taking up all the space, while a bunch of them, and probably my parents, were there too, and I was sitting on the floor watching it, riveted to the screen, reading those subtitles, which I could barely read. But there was. I have always preferred that. So why is it I like the dubbing? It's simple. Not everybody's like me. And some people want to just listen. Or they want to be able to watch what's going on without having to read. And I understand that. I understand that because as a young kid, I wasn't the greatest of readers. First time I actually enjoyed a book I was reading, I was in grade 4. Probably, I can't remember, I was 9 or 10 years old. It was a book called Lost in the Barrens by Farley Mowat, a Canadian novelist. And it was about a kid and his friend getting lost in the Barrens and having to survive. Anyway, that was the very first book I read from cover to cover, and then when I finished, I reread it. So I understand why some people like the dubbing and need the dubbing and want the dubbing. And the message that I have to give with the videos, I'd like to reach as wide an audience as possible. And so the more languages that my videos can be dubbed into, the better. It's funny because in my first year, I used to do all my videos in 3 languages. I'd record them in English and then in French and then in Spanish, or Spanish, French, and then English, or French, Spanish, and then English, whatever. And the second language I did it in was better than the first, and the third language I did it in was better than the first and the second. But then after a while, I just didn't have time for all that editing. And I was disappointed because I really wanted to keep doing it. And I was on YouTube's case because they weren't promoting the different language videos in the right audiences. And so they weren't getting the attention I needed. And then I just stopped doing it. And then several months later, YouTube started dubbing. Sometimes I thought, hey, maybe they got the idea from me, because they saw how some of my videos did so well in the other languages, sometimes better than in the original. So I was really happy about it. At first, it was 12 languages. That was December, a year ago, December 2024. And then a few months ago, it became 21 languages. And I'm hoping it's more. And I've had people over the months ask me, what about Turkish? Can you put Turkish? I'd love to. Someone asked for Korean. Well, it's on there now. And most recently, someone asked for Serbian. So I suggested to the person, well, contact YouTube and ask them. And yeah, because right now it's 21. I'd like to see 40 languages. I'd like to see 200 languages. It would be great. I think the captions you can have in more languages than the dubbing. And I've noticed on some channels because I could choose not to have dubbing in certain language or in all of them. I could turn it all off. Some people have said, "Oh, turn it off. This is terrible." And that's why, because sometimes, if I don't correct my subtitles, which I often don't, then the dubbing can be sometimes pretty bad. But when I got that comment, that's when I put up those the first video last January and showing people how you can change your language, so that if they really don't want the dubbing, well, they can change it. If they're used to listening in one language, and then so because of that language, their videos are dubbed instead of hearing it in the original, well, then I've shown them how they can switch back, how you can switch back to the original. And but I've noticed that. So I could choose to turn it all off, or I could choose to turn some languages off, but I don't turn any of them off. I keep them all there, even if I don't really have any way of really seeing if they're correctly dubbed into those languages. But I'm not worried about it because I've got the baseline language, let's say the baseline, which shows, what was recorded in it. That's the original language. So I'm not too worried about it. I sometimes will copy and paste into, onto the internet and do auto translate and see if what was put there translates into what I said, and it usually does. But I noticed that some people, some channels, they turn off some of the languages, and I wonder why they do that. They keep many of them or most of them, but they turn off a couple of them. But no, I keep them all. And why is it I keep them all? Because my videos are for one person at a time. Whoever's watching, anywhere in the world. They're not for groups. They're not for countries. Not for nations. They're for you. They're for one person. You who's watching. In whatever language that you're watching in. And so if I can reach as many individuals as I can, and maybe some of these individuals are living in places that are so different as far as climate and conditions are concerned compared to our conditions here. But it doesn't matter, because a lot of what my videos are about aren't about specific conditions. Yeah, I'm working with the conditions I have, but they're about an attitude towards nature, and an attitude to how you solve problems, looking at nature around you. So if I can help people who want to grow their own food while living in harmony with nature, and while supporting the return of native biodiversity in all its vibrancy, in all its diversity, returning the ecosystem to a balance, if I can help one person at a time, then my videos are worth it. And so that's why I like the dubbing, because it will appeal, therefore, to a wider audience. And those people who don't want to listen to a dubbed voice, who don't speak, let's say, English, and would rather watch me in English and read the subtitles, well, you've got that option too. So I don't do too many videos like this where I'm not talking at all about gardening, but I did talk a little bit about gardening, about the basic vision behind Willows Green Permaculture, behind Stephen Dixon. And by the way, recently someone said they didn't know my name, and I couldn't believe that after 2 years I don't introduce myself. I was a little bit shy at the beginning. And so I got into the habit of not even saying my name, even though it's on our channel description. But now I want to get into the habit of saying it in the beginning. So I'm finishing my video by how I should have started it. Good afternoon. And another funny thing about comments is several times I saw recommendations either in YouTube videos or even, with the YouTube help. They would recommend that I not answer all the comments because the algorithm would think that I was a bot. And I find that really sad state of affairs in education if someone who is dedicated to helping everyone, to answering every question, is so unrealistically plausible that they would think I was a bot. So help me show the algorithm that I'm not a bot and respond to my answers. Just thought I'd add that in. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something from it and you found it useful. If you enjoyed it, then please share it with your friends and give it the thumbs up. And don't forget to leave a question or comment because as I've started to tell people, I answer all your questions and I respond to all your comments. Over the last couple of years, I've noticed, I see my answers there, but I don't see necessarily any reaction. So I don't know if you have known that I've answered you. And so now I've started taking to reminding you that I answer your questions. Because I'm a lover of learning. And because I'm a lover of learning, I'm a lover of teaching. And so that's why I respond to all the comments and I answer all the questions. The day I stop learning is the day I take my last breath, or the day my heart stops beating. And so thank you for joining me in this learning experience. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.